content in this video may trigger you if you're a pansy, a feminist, soy boy, a white knight. So if you require a safe space and you don't know the real definition of tolerance, I suggest that you turn off this video and go find Drag Queen Story Hour somewhere. You might enjoy that better.
All right, guys, joining me is my man Glenn Lawrence. He's the Manosphere's resident Hollywood heartthrob, and he's also the co-host of the Dragon Ship podcast with RP Thor, and he also does all of the producing for Apex Mindset now. Now he makes videos on YouTube, and a lot of his videos are, he calls them correction videos.
I got Glenn Lawrence with me here today, too.
Glenn, we love Glenn.
The only white man I know on Hollywood. Welcome, Glenn Lawrence.
Mr. Glenn Lawrence. There he is, Mr. Handsome, Mr. Hollywood.
Yo, I guess I got to come to the stage, huh? Right? You know? Oh, yeah, let me bring you up, too.
I exist.
You do exist, Plutart. What is going on, everybody? It is your boy, Glenn Lawrence, and I am back on a random, spur of the moment live stream. Really chill, no real direction or point of this stream. But me and Plutart decided that, wanted to just chat about some chatty topics. Share our thoughts over some of these thoughts and topics and thoughts about thoughts, but not those thoughts, but other thoughts, not the ones you're thinking, though. Does that make sense?
No, but we'll work with it.
Anyways, but I have been pondering.
This is dangerous.
Yeah, it's really bad when I start thinking about things or having ideas. But we know that we like to say the red pill is amoral, right? And this is not me questioning whether that's true or not, but it's just me just bringing a thought that came to my mind about, is the red pill really amoral? And the reason I'm just bringing up this question about it is because how do we determine something is good or bad without moral compass? You know what I mean? Like how do we know something's not evil and what's good or what's bad?
Yeah.
Without having something to differentiate the two, right?
Well,
say feminism is bad, then that means, there's something that's good that we should be doing. So if red pill is saying feminism is bad, then we're using a moral understanding of good and bad to come to that conclusion, right?
Well, yes, but first we have to
acknowledge
acknowledge
there,
that
Lord Venom. Thank you for your $1.99 super chat. Thank you, sir.
First we have to acknowledge that no matter what we do, no matter what we decide, no matter what we think, we're filtering that through a moral and logical framework. Hopefully you're using logic, but everyone has a moral framework. We might disagree about what that moral framework should be.
Yeah.
Like if you're a Christian and a Muslim, they might disagree about what that moral framework is. But they both have one. Even an atheist, even an agnostic.
I would say even atheists' moral framework is actually probably more likely influenced from a Christian worldview than an atheist worldview. I don't know.
Well, I think what you're getting at is they don't even understand how much of their life has been framed by Christianity, at least in the Western culture.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like if you go to Asia, Christianity, not so much, but they have their own religions. And that has framed their cultural thinking, even if they claim to not believe in that specific spirituality.
Yeah. But so I'm saying, like, well, we've concluded that, feminism is bad. So isn't that
How?
using more,
How did we get
how
there?
did we come to that conclusion? Well, they say, well, based off empirical data, then we could see from that the outcome of feminism has not benefited men. So we're not saying that it's bad. We're just saying that it hasn't been beneficial to men since it's in, practice. Right?
Well, here I'm going to do this as a debate tactic.
Okay.
If we look at this from the perspective of women, has the outcome of feminism been all bad for women?
Now you're saying all bad. Well, just because something is not all bad, that doesn't make it good or useful.
That's
or
okay. That's not my point, though, because a woman could look at this and they could say, oh, but at least I'm getting something. There are things that I like about this. My moral framework, in my moral framework, these outcomes are, if not good, they're not bad for me. Like even if you look, so what we in the red pill might call a bad outcome, marriage causes divorce. Feminism is bad because it puts men at disadvantage in the family court. Okay, yes, but from a woman's perspective, that's a good outcome.
Yeah, exactly. So again, I won't even use any any of those points, like any of the family court, feminist judges. I get everything that marriage causes divorce is saying, and I agree. I'm not going to even use that as my, argument for my argument. The reason why I say feminism is bad and hear me using the biblical worldview again is because feminism and the practices and the things that they teach and that they want to, implement are antichrist-like behaviors.
Correct. And
so it's anti-God. So
well,
the reason why I say feminism is bad, because from my worldview and my belief system, it is opposed to what God has instructed us to do.
Right. But the difference here, I think, is you are openly wearing your morality on your, on your shirt sleeve. Well, you don't have shirt sleeves today, but that's the expression, right? You wear it on. You're open about you saying, "Look, I have a Christian morality, and I am looking at what feminism is, and I say, oh, feminism is bad because my morality says that it is producing bad outcomes. That my moral framework, and a lot of people, in theory, share your moral framework." Now we can talk about the corruption of that moral framework, and that's a whole conversation for a different day. But
well, yeah, I think for the most part, I think it's pretty safe to say that nobody really has a problem with the 10 Commandments, except probably like any commandment that tells you to worship, you can't worship any other God.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, because then now you got people wanting to worship themselves because they think they're gods. At least they won't say that publicly, but they kind of have that concept,
Well, a narcissist is somebody who thinks that they are a god, if not the god. Like that's, and we have plenty of those in society. So yes,
but like for the most part, I don't think anybody has a problem with the moral compass of do not covet, do not, do not commit adultery. Do not, children, obey your parents, don't steal, like, don't murder. Like, I think it's pretty unanimous that those 10 commandments are good moral guidelines that we should all adhere to, right? So even atheists view things from maybe a very narrow biblical worldview influence.
I think they would say that they have a worldly influence, and they're just not acknowledging how much influence that religions like Christianity and Islam and name a Hinduism have had on their world leading up to this point.
Yeah. But to say that, Mr. Pitt, I bet swingers would push back on the commandment against adultery. Well, I agree.
Probably.
I think they probably don't consider it adultery if they're engaging in it together. I think, really what the whole problem is that people don't like adultery because they are the last to know about the change in dynamics in the relationship. You know what I'm saying? Like, nobody wants to be the last person to find out that they're playing by different rules now. So the rules have changed.
Yeah.
But yeah. I don't know. I just think that, I think in the space we want to say that we're amoral, but it seems like we're using some sort of morality to determine something bad. So
we are.
We can't say that it's amoral.
The thing I think that we need to separate here is that observing reality, like making an observation, is not itself a moral. It does not have a moral framework. Reality is what it is. What you choose to do with that information and how you choose to interpret it. Is feminism good or bad? Well, that kind of depends on who is observing it, because there's lots of women who say feminism is great. Now, we disagree with them, but they say that. Those are moral judgments. Those come from a moral, a place of more, like I have my views, my morality, and moral can be a group and cultural thing. Look at feminism. But so it's like you have to separate the red pill observations from the red pill. Here's what you do about those observations. And the red pill does not get to say, well, what we do is amoral because the observations are amoral. That is incorrect. If you decide you want to spin plates and guys do, like, okay, that goes against the Christian morality. But if you're saying, hey, look, I don't hold to a Christian morality, then I'm going to look at you and I'm going to say, okay, you do you.
Yeah, like, my opinion of it all is like, we can't say that it's amoral. Like, I would love for us to say that it's amoral, and I would love to say that that's exactly how it is 100%, but it's not, because we're using a moral positioning to determine something to be bad, or right? So, but I think it's safe to say that when it comes to the few prescriptions, and I say few because I really don't think that the red pill offers unanimously a list of prescriptions that every red pill content creator could get behind, as these are the prescriptions of the red pill, right? I think that where everybody in the red pill does agree and or could be unanimously hold a unanimous opinion on would be the descriptions that the red pill offers. I think each content creator has a different opinion on prescriptions.
Yes. And so I'm trying to think of different guys. Like, I know that Thor he broadly agrees with people on the observations, but he might disagree with, Glenn on, hey, like Thor might be, yeah, go do spin plates, like more the better.
Hey, I'm not opposed to spinning plates.
Well, but you might say
I'm opposed to guys fucking these plates Okay.
But Thor might not be. In fact, I'm pretty sure he's not.
No, I'm just saying. So let's just gotta be a little bit clear here. I don't want people to start getting the wrong impression about me now. All right?
I got
There's already
you.
enough bad press.
Yeah, you've had a rough week. but you see what I'm saying, right? Like Glenn is not going to go out here and say, "Oh yeah, get all up in the pussy, 10 different whores," and spin, where Thor would be like, "Sure, go ahead." And here's the thing, and I want to make this very clear: neither is wrong. Part of what we have to accept when we talk about morality is that all morality, even in the Christian space, and this was something I learned the hard way during my divorce, all morality has some individual interpretation to it. So the Christian group morality agrees on a lot of basic things, but where they draw the lines about where you're crossing that morality, where they, like there are some groups of Christians that say, well, it's okay to do X and Y, but not Z, where others say, no, you can only do X, not Y or Z, right? There's still a lot of this sort of, so we have to accept that there's an individual component to it, even when we do agree with the group dynamic.
Well, I think that, look, I thought like when I first got into this space, what I loved about the red pill, that I would say like the underarching or the overarching theme of the red pill, in my opinion, was like it's not politically motivated. It's not one religion's, dominating over another religion, opinion. It's literally truth versus everything, right? And what the red pill, brought to light is the empirical data of, the true nature of men and women when it comes to intersexual dynamics, right? Like how men and women just naturally seem to behave. Now, this is outside of religious buffers or with religious buffers, whatever the case is. It just saying like our human fleshly sinful nature is this, right? And I love that. But now it's like, okay, is it truth? Is it almost kind of doing like, are we splitting the differences of truth and my truth and this truth? And you know what I'm saying? Like,
I hear you. And it's a problem. And it's the struggle that we all have to deal with when it comes to, reading the Bible. Well, we all interpret words slightly differently. And one of the jobs of pastors was to provide a common definition for words. Mm-hmm. The term hermeneutic exists for this reason.
Yeah.
And we have now seen how pastors have abused their station to twist words in ways that they were never intended and ultimately for the work of the devil. But like that was their role, was to provide a common understanding for what the Bible was actually trying to say. That it was, and you have to define the words. And you say, okay, well, no, it's this and this, and well, what does this mean? And like it just keeps on. Like the study of this stuff is you're going to spend your whole life trying to figure this out. The Bible's a big book, lots of words, lots of in small text, small font. If you think you're going to walk in, read the Bible once, and quote unquote get it,
good luck.
Right.
Good luck. Like, I mean, I've read it. I'm not saying I've read it like a million times, but I have done definitely my fair share of reading it cover to cover. And things that I've read before pop out differently as time proceeds itself. Well, no, it doesn't mean that it has changed or the meaning it's changed. It's just that it reveals itself,
Well, I would argue that revelation is in part because your understanding of the world is changing.
Mm-hmm.
And because your understanding of the world is changing, like something, let's say something happens to you, like a divorce. There are parts of the Bible that you're going to read very differently after a divorce, because you're going to have now been through something where you go, oh, that's what we're talking about here.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think I said this. Did you see me on Pearl's stream today? I was on Pearl's stream, her live stream today, just randomly too. Like, because I was actually on the phone with Thor when I get the text message that, hey, you want to hop on? I'm like, oh yeah, here we go. But I mentioned to her on the live stream that, like, do you know how often the Bible, doesn't, or how often that the Bible actually kind of lets you know that it's not all the man's fault for things, failing in a relationship. Like, the man could also be very innocent and the relationship still end.
Sure.
Right.
Yeah.
And like, we all agree with pretty much Cappy's position on that only 5% of women are considered marriageable, right? Well, the Bible kind of supports Cappy's position.
What?
Yep. But actually, I think Cappy's numbers are wrong, and I say this in Pearl's show. I think Cappy's numbers give women or give guys a little too much hope, because the fact is that I think there are less women than 5% that are marriageable.
Well, okay, but this is I'm going to interrupt here for a second, because I think Cappy and I think he's only really talking. He's not talking about any sort of morality that these girls are holding. He's sort of just saying that they're not fat, they're not they don't have a lot of bodies, they don't have a bad attitude, right? Like, his definition applies outside of the Christian definition, and maybe that does broaden out the pool, but there's fewer selectors on it. That
Well, here I go. I'm just going to use two scriptures to support my position. No, I am not going to use any other data. I'm not going to use Cappy's book. But Nick, Mr. Unplugged Christianity, brought this to my attention, and I think it's worth sharing. In Proverbs 31, we hear of how rare a virtuous wife is. She is as rare as rubies. I don't know how many of you guys got rubies, but I don't, and that must mean they're pretty rare, right? And in Ecclesiastes, Solomon, who's known as the wisest man in of history, or at least of biblical history, says that in Ecclesiastes chapter 7, it's like 1 out of every 10,000 men are righteous, but he hasn't yet met a woman that was considered righteous. So it's like, geez, what does that kind of tell you? Like, the slim pickings out there, fellas. And that's back in the days with camels and babies being born in mangers. So I think it's safe to say that there's not very many marriageable women, period, throughout history. What do you think?
Yeah. I mean, okay, what is it? That's so Cappy's giving 5%. So out of 1,000 women, you're talking about 50. That's actually quite a few women when you look at, women are what, 4 billion across the world, roughly. I think that's roughly 4 billion. So 5% of that is, you're talking like tens of millions of marriageable women.
Yeah, I think it's not even that. Nope.
I mean, ask the chat. Okay, chat, do you think there's tens of millions of marriageable women out there right now? Do you?
I don't think the chat even thinks that there's like 20,000 marriageable women. I don't know.
No.
Let's see what the chat
Bible's
says.
probably closer.
I think the Bible's incorrect because I think the Bible's correct. I think like Cappy says 5%. I think it's 1.7%.
You're just making up a number.
Well, I have to. I wasn't going to split 5% and say, I think it's 2.5. No, I think it's going to be a little less than 50-50. So it has to be 1.7, just not quite 2, but not, but beneath 1.5.
So 5% of 4 billion is 200 million, because I had to run the math. And 200 million marriageable women in the world? Sorry, no, not buying it. Drop a couple zeros, we'll talk.
Well, that's for those that want to look at the glass half full kind of model. That's 200 million guys that are going to get lucky, right? They're going to win the lotto in the whole marriage lottery thing.
And what about the other 95% of guys out there?
Get those new robotic fuck dolls.
So you pays your money, you take your chances, or you
pay money and you get a warranty.
Yeah, get a warranty. Honestly, Vegas has better odds than these women.
In what? Like winning at slapjack?
Go to the roulette table. You have better odds.
Ooh, I like this. So 40% of men, veterans, reproduced. What is it? Hold on, where'd he go? Wait a minute. Oh, there it is. Sorry. Cappy Lover Big Mike 6969. I know who it is. Says 40% of men, veterans, reproduced anyway. So, yeah, guys, if you want to, get laid and reproduce, join the military.
Yeah.
I honestly, I say that, not jokingly. You get to travel the world, you get to see a plethora of different type of cultures and a plethora of different type of women.
And then you get to leave.
Yes, you don't have to stay there unless you want to. So yeah, there you go. That could help solve your sexless problems. Join the military. Chicks love a guy in a uniform anyways. So I made a clip of mine and Pearl's stream earlier today. And I'm gonna upload it. It's gonna be like a short or something, or what do they call it, the YouTube shorts? The ones that could gain a whole lot of views or whatever. Because I thought it was a really funny exchange. Here, I'm gonna play it for you guys.
I slipped into sin.
Yeah.
I slipped into sin.
I have never. I've slipped in temptation. That's what he said. I slipped in temptation. Let me tell you something. Now, I'll be the first person to tell you I am not the holiest good Christian boy ever. All right, I'm far from that. And never in my life have I ever slipped into temptation. I jumped into temptation. I dove first into temptation. My pants off before temptation's pants was off. Okay, let me just be real with you. Never was it an accident. Never has vagina fell from the sky, landed on my lap. I'm like, oh shit, I fell into temptation.
And I'm just like, that's just a way to take accountability off of you. How do you fall? It's a choice.
It's a choice. I chose temptation. Let's just be real. Can we just be honest with ourselves? Hey, I chose sin.
I chose
to sin.
That girl was hot. That guy. It's just that's all you gotta say. But I don't know. Sorry.
It's true though. I thought that was probably something good to clip out of that.
Well, it's also true, but that implies people say, "Oh, well," they're trying to say that their morals are sound, but they had they tripped, they fell, it was. Oh, they didn't choose it. No, bitch, you chose to fall into her vagina. You chose that. You chose to take your pants off.
I was very well aware what I was doing every time I slipped into temptation. I put on some extra lubricant so I could slip right in a little easier.
Right. And that's a moral choice. What you're actually saying is my morals, they're more flexible than I'm going to tell my followers.
Oh, like I come on. If you guys don't know by now, like Glenn is not perfect, and I will not even pretend.
Well, CHD in the comments, dude. Like, I think he's decided who we're talking about.
What?
In the comments, I can't.
I'm on another page here. Give me a second. But no, like I'm very upfront, very honest. Like, hey, I'm nobody's role model. I don't want to be anybody's role model. Okay, I'm not your hero. I'm not your savior. I'm not your none of that. Because you know what? I'll be honest with you guys. I will fuck shit up and fail you. You know, try to walk in my shoes and make the choices I've made in my life. They're not all beneficial. I've learned from a lot of mistakes. Let's just say that. So no, I don't want to be anybody's hero or guru, right? But I'm also going to be upfront with you and tell you the truth, you know? So I think this whole like slipping in the temptation thing is just a way to try to blame the devil for choices that you wanted to make. Like, you know, I think we give the devil way too much credit sometimes, right? The devil made me do it. Did he though? Did he like all of a sudden take possession over you and you couldn't, you know, move or do anything? Like you were just a victim of being possessed and had no control over your body or your choices?
We have met the devil and he is us.
You know, like, I'm not saying that the devil can't, you know, influence or
sure,
you know, that the devil can't, you know, encourage or tempt or, you know,
did the devil did the devil arrange a situation where that hottie was in front of you? That I can see as an argument.
You know, it's like, okay, yeah, the devil could put you in scenarios that will test you. Sure. But he can't force you to do anything that you're not going to choose to do to begin with.
That would, interestingly enough, that would be a free will violation if you believe in the concept.
Yeah. So like again, it's so if we have free will and God gave us free will, then why would he allow the devil to have control over you? Why would God give the devil power that God doesn't even have?
That's a question that's going to tie some theologians in knots.
So it's like, if you know, when it comes to sin that we have committed or that we commit in our lives, can we just be real with ourselves? Because how can we expect ourselves to really ever work past these, you know, sins if we keep on referring to our interaction with them as slipping or falling into temptation? No, let's be honest with ourselves and said, you know what? I wanted that ass, and that she had a sexy ass, and I wanted to smash that ass. So I chose sin over God. Can we just acknowledge that? For when I sin, and I'll be telling you guys very honestly right now, when I sin, I am saying I am choosing that sin over God. Okay.
It's a level of accountability to ourselves that we don't want.
We have to acknowledge and be very honest with ourselves and say, like, hey, the reason why we have these problems is because we in that moment chose this thing over this thing. And that way we could just move on. We could all accept that we're not perfect. But with this whole like, oh, I fell into temptation. That woman is the Jezebel demon that came over here and pulled me away from my godly focus and walk. No, bro, you saw that ass sway. You're like, God damn, just want some of that. And you're like, I wonder what that be like. And then you're like, I mean, what's 2 minutes? Ain't gonna be that bad, right? Can't be that long of sinning.
So the depth of our sin is now just based on how many minutes we spend doing it.
I'm just saying, you know, I'm thinking, what would somebody else say?
That's a pretty shallow way of looking at it, in my opinion. But
I'm just saying, like, can we just admit that, you know, nobody slips into temptation? You know, can we just take accountability and say that we willfully chose to do that damn thing? And if we could do it again and not face the consequence, we would.
Most guys might choose to not face the consequences. There are some guys who might look at it and go, you know, that was kind of fun. And the consequences weren't that bad this time.
Depending on your worldview, right? You know, like
exactly.
Depending on your worldview. But like I said, for me as a Christian, like I know, like, hey, I never was overwhelmed and had lost all control of my decision making, you know, when temptation came around. Okay. I know that I was very much in control of making that decision.
And I want to say this to the guys too. I have been fall down drunk, not blackout drunk, fall down drunk. But I was still aware enough to know what I was doing.
Oh man, Billy Blue Balls. Do we have to? He says, no, Glenn, let Chase be a woman and deflect accountability. But see, it's not just Chase. There's a lot of guys that are Christian when they would, you know, talk to me about their shortcomings and their
the next one is
I know I'm gonna get to it. Like whenever they talk about their shortcomings or their sins, they're like, yeah, I gave in to temptation. It's like, no, you didn't give in to temptation. You chose that shit. Can we just say we chose it in that moment, in that time? That's what we wanted to do.
To deny any sort of accountability.
The
devil made me do it. No, the devil didn't.
The devil made you do it. You know, you weren't strong enough to withstand the temptation. No, you were. You just chose not to withstand it. You wanted to engage in it. Like, just own it.
Yeah,
please. Because honestly, if guys start adopting that mentality, especially Christian guys, if they start adopting that mentality and just like owning their sin, just own up to it. Like, yeah, I chose this shit. And yes, it is wrong. It's against God's word. And I'm wrong for doing that. Or whatever, but own that shit. Don't, you know, come off like that you were, you know, overwhelmed and had no control. No, because what does that sound like? That sounds like every excuse that I hear women give when it comes to the problems that they have in their life, that it's not their responsibility. It's not their fault. It's some outside source. It was their ex-boyfriend, their ex-husband. It was the guy at work. It was everybody else's fault for their actions, but them. And Christian men not owning up to their sin are doing the same thing women do, but we just blame the devil.
Right. Because it's easier to blame the devil. And I can say, well, I think this is mostly about trying to stay blameless. Well, if the devil made me do it, it's not really my fault. If the devil, yes, I need to go repent, say my Hail Marys, and you know, whatever other acts of contrition are required. But once you do, but it's like, oh, but okay, I did my acts of contrition, I'm good, because it wasn't really me, it was the devil. You're muted, Glenn.
No, yeah, I agree with you. Now let me get to Billy Blue Balls comment. Never have I ever not smashed at youth group. Okay, so he's not entirely wrong here. Let's just say growing up when I was a kid, like I wasn't that kid that went to youth group because I wanted to go to church.
Uh-huh. Yep. I know what you're talking about.
You know, growing up, we only went to youth group for the free drinks and the snacks and the cool activities. But most importantly, the hot Christian girls would go there. Okay. Yep. And none of us guys were highly motivated to learn more biblical knowledge at that time. We were more motivated and driven by, hey, those 3 hot sisters go to this youth group. Let's start going hanging out. Maybe we could, get them to want to date us. That was the real motivation behind things.
In my youth group, it was 4 girls, and I still remember their names. I'm not going to
Didn't you
say
show me the pictures of them?
No, I didn't show you those pictures. I don't think I even have any. This is pre-Facebook.
You showed me some girls. Remember? I remember showing.
Yeah,
some.
that was a Bible study. That I was much older.
Oh,
yeah. No, my youth group though. I might be able to dig up pictures of who. Might be able to dig up pictures of one of the girls because she's still all over Facebook. But
I could definitely say that quite a few of my notches came from my time of being in youth group as a young man in high school. Yeah,
that's why I went on youth group activities. Oh yeah.
It's like social circuit game. My social circle was the church, so I kind of took Mike Sartain's point of view before it was a real thing. But so thank you, Billy Blue Balls, for busting my balls over this.
Well, but let's be honest, that is why the guys showed up at the youth group. Like, we have to be honest about it.
You know what? No, that's not true, because there was always like 1 or 2 guys that were like really solid, young, on fire Christians. And probably them hanging out with me probably, screwed up.
I'm gonna say, not in my youth group. They were all. I knew why they were there.
There was always 1 or 2, and they were already kind of on the spectrum, anyways. But they had strong faith, stronger than mine, at least.
I mean, this is 20 years ago now. Maybe I'm not remembering well, but I can't think of a guy who wasn't
over
there
20 years to me.
Yeah.
Don't like thinking about that.
We getting old.
Anyways, I think if they end up doing the Daily Wire versus Pearl and whoever debate, and I kind of got some insight on that. That's not my business to share, but it looks like it's going to go down.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. I don't know all the details, but it looks like we might see that in the near future.
Yes.
The thing is, I think the debate is good. For one thing, is that, hopefully at the end of the debate, we could at least collectively say, hey, the court systems are really bad for men, and nobody disagreeing with that. Okay. So at that point, it kind of puts the ball into the courts of the politicians and be like, hey, you know what? Unanimously now, the men have spoken and have said that the reason why they don't want to get married is because these laws are, harming them. So maybe we need to take a look at our, laws that govern marriage and reassess them and, update some shit. Because we haven't updated the family court laws really since we, implemented them.
Right. Well, actually, so funny little fact about the law is there's two different kinds of law. There's the written law, and then there's the case law. So the family law was written probably 50s, 60s, but and it was written fairly loosely. I'm not going to say it was well written, but it hasn't really been changed since then. It's all been the courts kind of coming to a consensus of how to apply that loosely written law.
Yeah.
So the case law has actually changed quite a bit over the years, but they just kind of fit it into how they think that law should actually mean. And it's interesting, and it's not related to a red pill, but in the 2A space, there's an enormous amount of lawfare going around right now, and somebody in Hawaii was filed over like their no concealed carry. Their concealed carry permit process is basically just you can't get one. And the court, the Supreme Court of Hawaii, literally in their opinion, quoted the spirit of aloha as a reason why.
Oh
They
yeah,
said,
for the Second Amendment.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so it's like that is how far twisted like that we've gotten from the law. I mean, I realize it's an extreme example. It's not red pill related, but I'm just don't know case law for divorce court that well because I avoided it in my divorce. Well enough to say, okay, here's an extreme example. I am certain that the chat could be filled with guys who've been run through the courts and yeah, did you hear what this judge told me?
Yeah. I mean, I have my own experience, but I don't even use my own experience, when I talk about the family law system. I use experiences from other men. And then there's plenty of, data to show that.
Right.
I think that this conversation only is beneficial or only becomes beneficial, once we say, okay, now that we all are in agreement that men are getting shitted on when it comes to marriage laws and family court, what are we going to do about it? Are we just going to just bring this up and all become aware of this problem and not address the problem? Or are we just going to go back to men should get married and then not address the problem?
Right. And
because that's what comes out at the end of this, then honestly the whole debate or the whole talking and going back and forth with these people about it was for nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Exactly. Yes, exactly. Like if the red pill guys, they're going to need to accept that they have a morality. I'm going to use the word problem, but that's not really what I mean. They need to acknowledge that there is a morality to what they're doing, and that the Christ pill guys don't like it. But the Christ pill guys, and I think the Christ pill guys have they're way more naive, I think, because they're unwilling to acknowledge the church's complicity in pretty much everything that's happened.
Yeah.
And if they can't, then, and if neither side can acknowledge that they are the ones that, that they have problems they need to deal with, this is just going to be a big old gab fest where nothing gets solved, which is in my review video, my preview video that we did about a month ago, what I said would happen. That was my prediction.
Yeah. And I think Cappy's lover, Big Mike 69 is right. Nothing's going to change. Enjoy the decline, spin plates, most importantly, become outcome independent. Yeah, I think that at the end of the day, I mean, that's what guys need to do anyways. At the end of the day, focus on outcome independence. That's the best way to, prepare for the worst and hope for the best kind of mentality. Right?
Yeah, and well, there's something I want to say to the younger fellows in the audience. There will be a world after the decline.
Yeah,
and we on the younger spectrum, and I'm saying mostly when
you say younger, what do you consider
40.
younger?
40 and under.
Yes, I'm still in that group.
Oh yeah, by the skinny teeth.
Still in that group. Yes.
But that'll end up being the big dividing line, because if you're over 40, there is still more decline to come. So let's say we get 10 more years of decline, which we could. Okay, well, you're going to be 50, and then we have to dig ourselves.
Hey, I'm 39 right now, so
okay,
I might only be 49.
You might only be 49, yeah. So like you might have to be, we'll still be digging ourselves out, and
digging ourselves out of what?
Of the decline. But if you're 30, if you're 30, 35, there will be a life after this decline where you have to answer for what you did.
Yep. I mean, we're all going to have to answer for what we did, technically.
Right. I'm talking about in the corporeal world, in this world where we are going to be held to account even by our own, because people don't see it yet, but there are signs that there's two major competing morality groups that are forming, and the church is, because of its own stupidity, not involved on either side of this. But though one of those is going to come out of the decline owning the moral high ground for the next cycle.
Yeah. And I don't want you guys to think that I'm against marriage. I am not against marriage at all. I am against the way that it's being done today. I'm against the fact that we're propping up marriage as if it's the same marriage institution designed the way that God designed it for us. No, it has been tainted. It has been perverted. It has been, manipulated to fit the world or the culture's desire. I mean, the way we do marriage today, we allow two dudes to get married. That's not a biblical marriage. Okay. The way we do marriage today allows, divorce to, happen for any other reason that's not listed, in the Bible. And the Bible only gives you two, so the way we do marriage today is not even according to the Bible.
No,
so
it's not.
Why don't we pause for the cause, and instead of continuing to have these young people practice a non-biblical marriage, how about we do some reform, right? And get this marriage system back according to the biblical practices of things, and start doing it the right way and practicing it and encouraging it, and creating laws to support the practice of marriage according to the Bible standard. Then once we start that going, then we could start, shaming guys back into marriage again. Okay. I mean,
I personally, I think that there's going to be a lot of guys who are so scarred from this that they're save the West, wipe the hell up.
Stop being negative about marriage. Really? Oh man.
Well, but see, but
the funny thing is, like, he is one of the few married guys in my Bible study. Like happily married guys too.
Well, but this actually gets to the point I was making, is that there's going to be a lot of guys out there who are like, no, I am never marrying one of those whores, even if she actually really is a decent woman. It's just it's too much damage done by the other women.
Yeah.
That's going to happen. Really, I look at this more as trying to save the future. Our generation, Glenn, I'm sorry, we're fucked. Like we are going to have the lowest marriage rates ever.
I mean, just think about of everything that we have actually have had to live through.
Exactly.
Okay. I mean, our generation has seen a lot of different, changes and catastrophes in our short 40 years on this rock. We seen the evolution from baggy pants to skinny jeans, guys. Like you younger guys didn't have to live through that.
No, you didn't.
And we saw the end of like the glam hair rock group and guys with long hair, and we end up seeing the trend back to decent normal haircuts. But now we got the rise of man buns again. We seen things go and come back more gayer than they were when they left. It's like
yeah.
We've seen a lot of these changes so far. But the one thing we haven't seen a change in since the implementation of egalitarianism is we haven't seen any changes in marriages in the positive side, since these implementations have been practiced.
Yeah, that's actually a good point. The data has been entirely one way since the 1980s.
Yeah, so it's like when is it when are we going to go back to basics? When are we going to take a step back and be like, you know what? For the last 40 years, since this whole, thingy called, let's just call it egalitarianism, has been, accepted, it really hasn't benefited things like we thought, we got more chicks on, psychotic medication for mental health issues. We got, marriages declining more than they were before. Huh.
Well, and
not to mention, we got a bunch of dudes thinking that they're chicks now. Like,
and of the marriages there are, how many of them do we think are happy? All the reports are they're all self-reported. So, like, the guy's sitting there thinking, well, if I don't report that I'm happy, she's going to hunt me down and skin my little head a lot, like.
Well, if it's not her, it's going to be the state. That's for sure. So, like, at what point do they go, you know what? I think maybe we should, like, reconsider, this thing that called egalitarianism. Anybody want to put it up for vote? Do we want to try to, like, maybe vote this out? No, we want to keep on going with this. Okay.
No, I think there will be a turn, because everything turns. You swing. It's a pendulum. You swing too far one way, the pendulum turns around and goes the other way.
People think that when it swings back, that means it goes back to
correct.
Time,
yes,
like this time machine thing.
We're not going back to the 1950s. We're not. Yeah, sorry, guys.
The 1950s weren't even that cool. Let's be honest, okay? They weren't even that cool. We romanticized them thanks to Hollywood, but there were some pretty shitty things going on back then too. You just had to deal with it because you all had to live in the same house,
right? And so what will happen is that there will be a swing away from this insanity, and actually, I think it's going to come from the government realizing that they have a massive problem on their hands. Get back on the plantation. No, we don't know what we're talking about. But the government's going to realize that it has a problem, and it's going to say, we need to do something. It's not going to know what to do, and it will do all the wrong things. Yeah. But the messaging, because we know how involved the government is in messaging everything.
Oh, yeah.
You're going to see huge shifts in the messaging as the government needs men to return to the plantation. They are going to try to bring us back, and they're going to go back to the 1950s. Steve, can the risk be?
Yeah, so that's something that I wish, like,
the answer is
Earl
no.
would have brought up, like, during her debate with Andrew Clavin, right? Because he kept on saying that marriage is a high risk, high reward,
oh, okay,
thing, right? And I'm like, okay, cool, we could go with that. Let's run with that. It's a high risk, high reward, but can we mitigate the risk? I don't know. I mean, is it possible to equip and educate and prepare guys, accordingly, so that when or if they choose to, take that leap, that I don't know, that they could be informed before what they could end up expecting?
Well, I have a response to Clavin, and it's, what the problem with high risk, high reward is? High failure rate. In trading, when you take a high risk, high reward trade strategy, you accept that you're going to lose 90% of the time, but that the rewards on the 10% you win are going to cover for that.
Well, that's right. I mean, just look at all those startup companies. Do you know how many startup companies never make it?
It's 90%.
Yeah. Leave my hat alone, Nick.
Wrong hat.
See, he's a Texas boy. And see, I'm wearing I'm supporting Texas right now with this hat. It's just the wrong team, apparently. Gosh,
You can't win.
I really can't. Now with this guy, Mr. Sir Snores a lot. But I just think that, if the TradCons really cared about, marriage as much as they proclaim they do, they would be doing like some serious work and and trying to reform marriage laws. They would use the new information and science and data that we have about men and women and update some shit. Who knows? Maybe that will actually make marriage a little bit more attractive than it is now.
Will it though?
You got to make it worthwhile for guys again.
Right, but I think we're so far gone, and I think the TradCons are going to have a huge problem with this idea. I think we're so far gone that it will not be it will not be enough to just sand off some of the rough edges of divorce court.
Mm-hmm.
I think you're going to have to go to men offering not just, oh, here, we'll give you these little bits and crumbs. No, they're going to have to come offering massive,
almost like a buy one get one free deal. Like, look, get one wife, and then we'll give you the other one free.
Hey, polygyny will be a thing in the future.
Is that what you're saying? Like they're going to need to do?
I would actually consider that to be not a benefit personally, because
personally, I would say so too. But I think what they would probably have to say is like, you know what? If you get married, guys, don't worry. You will never have to worry about child support because we will give you automatic custody. Or they would have to do something like make alimony only applicable in marriages that are ending due to some form of fault, like where if there was infidelity, then the injured party could collect alimony. If there was abuse or abandonment, there's that's where alimony could be collected. But just because you woke up one morning and you rolled over and you got tired of seeing this guy laying next to you, you don't get to collect alimony for that.
So Lord Venom has a great comment here. There is no ROI for a man to get married. Until there is, marriage will continue to decline. That's basically what I'm trying to say, is they're going to have to come offering an actual return. It can't just be, we'll make the negative return less or make the negative return smaller. No, you have to come offering in trading, we would say positive expectancy. That is, I expect to win more often than I lose. I expect to that, or even if I'm losing more than I win, that my gains are going to be bigger than my losses, right? Women are going to have to bring that sort of mindset to the table. They're going to have to give more than they get. Make women thin and nice again. That would go a long way, wouldn't it?
Hey, we need to make men buff and fit again too, though. Like, if we're gonna do that, like, I'm all for this, but fellas.
Well, okay, we need to be careful with thin because we don't want them man bun.
That's why I said buff and nice, or buff and fit. I didn't say thin.
Okay, good.
Man
bun stick figures aren't any better.
Yes, I am fat phobic, very fat phobic. I start breaking out in hives.
Elena's threatening to do another fatties reaction video with Glenn, by the way, just for you, Lord Venom.
I barely made it through the first one.
She's got more for you.
Your wife hates me.
Yeah, she has a mean streak, don't she?
Them Russians, man.
Like, they're pretty. You pay for it, but they're pretty.
Seems like you got to be careful with them, because like you might think you're having a glass of vodka, but there might be poison.
Yeah. You never know.
And she'll hand you that drink with a smile.
Oh, yes.
Oh, cool. CHD, you bought Thor's kettlebell workout. Yeah, no, it's a dope kettlebell workout plan that he actually put together.
I've been
Very,
seeing a
very
lot
good.
of kettlebell workouts lately. Another friend of
Yes.
mine is
Oh,
into
yeah.
it.
Thank you, Nick. I suck at talking about the things that we got going on. We are still doing. We're actually wrapping up our first quarter of our Bible group's fitness accountability thing this month. At the end of March, one of the guys in the Bible study group is going to be the lucky recipient of a $50 gift card. They will be selected as the most improved or winner of this quarter's fitness goal accountability group that we have. And we're doing it for the rest of the year too. So, we still have quarter 3, quarter 4, or quarter 2, 3, and 4, to go through. And each winner of those ones are going to get a $50 gift card too. So you guys want a shot at winning a $50 gift card and want some accountability when it comes to your fitness goals, feel free to join our Bible study group. It's only $10. And the only reason why I have a paywall up for it, because, well, it's a Bible study group mainly. That's what it's mainly for. We talk about God and biblical masculinity and stuff like that. And we make fun of a lot of people in there, mainly me. And Nick.
Apparently you make fun of
I make fun of Nick. I make fun of Nick more than anybody else, but everybody in there makes fun of me more than I make fun of them. So let me just say that. And I don't even read all the messages and all the posts, and I already know that they're making fun of me most of the time. But anyways, no, it's a good group of guys, and we want the paywalls there just to kind of keep the crazies and dummies from invading our space. So $10, you get to join all of our weekly Bible studies and chat with the guys. And also, if you really want to pursue your workout goals and you want to make some changes this year, you get some accountability and some incentives to stick to that goal. So join, please. There you go. There's my sales pitch. It was long and it was dumb, and that's why I don't do sales. Moving on. Let's see.
Well, so I have a random thought for you.
We don't talk about you. Stop having an ego. Okay, maybe it's my vanity. My bad. I'm so vain.
He kind of is. I mean, with the glasses and the hair and the
Dude, I got lights all right here.
Yeah.
So
we can
because I
see
have
his
hair, just because I have a good head of hair and I keep it well groomed, doesn't mean I'm vain. Okay. Gosh.
Hey, we got to pick on you. So I do have.
This is a good one. Don't join unless you can accept constructive criticism. About that. See, if you have thin skin, our group is probably not for you. I've lost we lost a member, and they're due to not being politically correct and using our gay HR shit sandwich words, when giving a compliment and criticism thing. We just kind of give it to you straight.
Oh, okay. You lost a member over language. That's unfortunate.
Yeah, but not every group is for everybody.
Yeah.
Like, let's just can we be honest here? I'm an acquired taste. So anybody that kind of likes, listening to me or hanging out with me, must have something wrong. So
hey now.
I'm kidding. You guys are all great. You guys are wonderful. You guys are the real smart ones. No, I'm just kidding. We are just guys that just are guys. We don't care about, all the love language and, did you use the nice words? We just give it to you real.
So the language in the room is more Midwest oil rig language, less West Coast hippie language.
Let's say we don't go as far as talking about grabbing women by the pussy like Trump did during his campaign.
Okay.
But we're not as kid friendly where we bleep out our own curse words when we're talking. We all of us still curse, and sure, maybe it's wrong. We don't want to admit it, but yeah, we all have potty mouths.
It's your guys' vice.
That's one of many vices, But yeah, join the group. It's fun. $10. The link is in the description. And you know what? I think the Midwest oil rig guys would be offended by that statement you made.
Oh, they might. Some of them might not be, but you're right. They might. Maybe.
Yeah, no, Lord Venom is probably the worst out of all of us. Like, the man has no filter at all whatsoever. Like, there's not even a face app filter that can make his pictures look decent. Yeah, we know you're a trucker. We get it. But you know what? I think another trucker friend of mine would hate to be associated with that. But any Hoosers. So
yeah.
we got to wrap this up here soon. But we do say in this title that random thoughts about random thoughts and topics. So I think we established the random thoughts about topics. We need a random thought about some random thoughts.
Well, I've got one.
Any random thoughts that come to mind?
Yeah, I've got one for you. Hillary Crowder is now on Twitter.
Oh yeah, I saw Pearl made a comment about her being on Twitter.
Okay, well, Glenn, I'm going to share this out with you. Here.
So you got something good to share about Hillary Crowder.
Yeah, I need to zoom out.
Right. I thought it was funny, like her profile and whatever said like something about like sorting through the rubble. And I was just like, oh, she's looking for sympathy. And then I think Pearl made a comment about it. And she was like what rubble? Thought that was pretty funny.
Yeah.
Right, what would you share? Okay. Andrew Tate post?
Yeah.
Oh, and her comment. Okay. So Andrew Tate posted, if your man isn't asking where you are, who you're with, and telling you to go home to safety, he doesn't love you. Trust me. All his hoes are out and he doesn't care. But he wants you at home with the door locked. Men show love with protection. And then Hillary Crowder says, there's so many red flags here. What is wrong with what he said?
Well, I'm just going to go out on a limb here. I'm just going to go out on a limb here and say that her problem is with the first sentence.
Oh yeah, like her sins? You mean like what we found in that video that she didn't want to listen to her husband and wanting to take the car, and she didn't like that kind of authority that he had.
Didn't want to tell him where she was going. Didn't want to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, so it's kind of like I see.
Yeah. So
this is to justify her bad behavior.
Oh yes, and I have followed her so that I can catch all of the insanity that comes out and we can talk about it, because I've followed Crowder for quite a while and I don't agree with everything he says. I agree with some of the stuff he says. His network supports some of the content creators that I like. Shout out to Mr. Guns and Gear. So, I'm looking at this and even what the video I thought was not nearly as damning as she hoped it would be, at least to those of us who understand women. Red flag. She's named Hillary. No kidding. Uh,
That is a good one.
but so I'm just like, so this is a person who, in Crowder, who did everything exactly as the TradCons say to do it. They were
we okay. We assume that he did everything.
He
Correct.
says
According to him, yes.
Yes.
We don't know exactly, but he followed their playbook as closely as he could.
Yes. Supposedly they got married and they hadn't even had sex. They're both virgins. Supposedly, they were, prayed all the time. Like the Christ pill guys say that if you just pray more with your wife, that'll keep her around.
It's okay. I talked about that with Pearl on her stream today too. Prayer alone does many things. Okay, don't get me wrong. Prayer changes and can change a lot of things, but it's not just prayer. Okay, what they're pointing out in that study is that couples that pray together tend to do better, right? But what does that point out, though? It points out that, hey, these couples that pray together probably also do and practice a lot of other biblical, teachings that also contribute to the success of their marriage. Prayer alone and prayer to just anybody is not going to be the solution. If you pray to a milkshake god, that your milkshake brings all the boys to the yard, but praying to that god may not be beneficial for your marriage, right? Just so prayer alone and faith alone is not the solution. It's the practice of what the Christian faith teaches men and women and instructs men and women to live their lives, and it's the execution of what those teachings are is what really caused marriage rates to decline. But it's the practice of that from both parties. And part of that practice is praying.
Dragging your wife to pray at the foot of the bed every night is not going to make her less of a hoe, or not going to make her like you more.
Do you know how many times I've prayed with hoes? I mean, I have prayed with many hoes. Typically, it was
they like it. That's actually a bit of a trope.
And typically we were both praying, actually, because most of those times is when after we did something that we knew we shouldn't have done when we were younger, and we felt convicted and guilty about it. So like, maybe we should pray about this. What do you think? Let's just do that afterwards and ask God to forgive us. Okay.
Yeah. Well, but there's some truth to that. Like, but yeah, just dragging your wife to the I was going to say the altar, but to communion, basically, right? Dragging your wife to communion is not going to make her want to love you more.
Yeah.
And so, and I think this, when I speak about the naivety of the Christ pill bros, this is what they're missing. They're taking these surface level concepts of Christianity. Oh, just pray with your wife more. And trying to say that these surface level band-aids over the symptoms are going to fix the problem. No, the problem starts with what the church teaches. The problem starts with the fact that women are so far gone. But if you hate to say it, but if prayer alone was going to be enough, we wouldn't have the divorce rate problem we have in the church.
Well, like I said, if it's being utilized correctly and practiced correctly, it definitely can make significant changes.
But nobody knows how to do that anymore because not even the church.
Yeah, because the fundamentals and the teachings. I mean, I encourage you guys really to, like, read the Bible, and I forgot what book it's in about the Lord's Prayer, right? When they ask Jesus how to pray or whatever, and Jesus gives them this template: Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name, thy kingdom come, thy will be done as earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. Forgive us of our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not in temptation, but deliver us from evil. Thy is the will, the power, and the glory forever and ever. Amen. You know, like that was a template for prayer. That's how we are to come to prayer, you know, and you could break that passage down and see that there's an order.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not being taught anymore. Now,
Well, they teach the prayer. They don't teach the
no, they
structure
teach
of
the
the prayer.
yeah, they teach the prayer, but they don't teach the structure, or exactly what you were saying.
Yeah. They don't teach you how, they teach you the prayer, not how to pray.
Exactly. But you know what? They will create some apps for you, and you could get a prayer app, and you just select one of the prompts from the prayer app, and I guess that's good enough, right?
Mr. Michael Knowles and the Hollow app that he's pushing all the time.
Yes.
I had to call him out. It's like, okay,
I think that's
really?
not a bad tool. You know, it's probably useful. Hold on. Mr. Pitt says, little known fact, hoes are super into spirituality. Unfortunately, they tend towards new age stuff, but for some reason, they really enjoy dealing with transcendent. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Like all the crystals and like angel cards and like, you know, all that new age nonsense. Yep. No, women love spirituality and women love Christianity because it allows them to, you know, parade their forgiveness of sins that they receive from God, as if, you know, we can no longer judge them for their sins. You know, like,
yeah,
I think it's kind of stupid. No, that God forgave you of your sins, and I'm not judging you or, you know, passing or thinking less of you because of your sins. I'm just saying I'm not marrying you because of your sins. But I'm glad that you're going to heaven, though.
Yes, we and that should be celebrated. When somebody returns, you celebrate that, but you don't say, oh, but now I'm gonna, now I'm gonna marry you. No, the consequence of your sin is that you don't get that shelter.
Yeah,
of marriage.
At least for me. You might get some other guy to do it, but not me.
Yeah. Not me either.
So my thoughts on Hillary Crowder and her stupid comment is that, well, hoes will be hoes.
Yeah.
You know, women are gonna, you know, reject anything that, you know, points out their flaws
or puts limitations on them. I think she's trying to say here that, well, you know, there's so many red flags here, and Crowder probably did some of those things. Why? Because he was protecting her. He was showing his love. He's thinking, this is what I'm supposed to do.
True. I also think, you know, Crowder probably, you know, I don't think the guy was perfect either. Just let me just say that.
Probably not.
Definitely, he wasn't a saint. I mean, he might have been. I mean, I don't know. I can only assume that he's not. All right. And let's say that I'm pretty sure he's fallen short numerous times, and you know, he has his own, you know, things to answer for the end of their marriage.
Sure. Yes, absolutely.
Okay, so let me say that, but let's just be honest that we are all a bunch of like beggars looking for bread. All right.
Mm-hmm.
We're still all trying to figure it out. Nobody's perfect. Nobody does everything right or gets it all right all the time. Like, we all fuck up. We are a bunch of fuck ups. And you know what the church is? The church is filled with a bunch of fuck ups that know that they're fucked up, that they want, you know, not to be fucked up. And so they go to the creator asking for help and guidance to not be a fuck up.
Yes.
Well, at least that's what you would think the church is filled with.
You would hope. Yes.
Yes. So if you think you're going to come across more less fucked up people in church than you are outside of church. No. It's all concentrated in one area. But the thing is that they have God on their side, at least. And they're working through their problems. And they're trying to get healing and trying to live more Christ-like than the non-Christians, at least.
Yeah. We hope. There are some churches where I'm not sure they could pull that off. But
yeah, like most of the egalitarian ones,
Yeah.
I don't think they have that motto. But, you know.
Yeah.
I think the egalitarian church motto is like, join us as we change God into our own image.
Ooh, shots fired. But also, yes.
Oh, yeah. Did I say that out loud?
You did say that out loud.
My bad. Well, you know what? Let's wrap it up here. It's been almost an hour and a half.
Yeah.
That went fast.
We had fun.
Yeah. But you guys stay tuned, hit the like, subscribe, notification bell. This was really cool. Like, you know, we got to hang out with your wife, not around more often. Like,
oh, she's not going to want to hear that.
you know, I think guys, you know, I think the guys like this one. I don't know.
I don't know, guys. Did you like it?
Like, you know, you guys didn't have to hear Elena, you know, running around and, you know, doing her infamous, well-known, you know, sound drop.
Shame this horse.
Gosh, she's not
Shame
even
this
here.
horse.
Like, we get
Shame
it,
this
Elena.
horse.
Oh my Lord. Well, I guess, you know, we couldn't get away with it. She's still gonna somehow tell us the shame whores.
She's with us in spirit.
No, I'm kidding. She was missed. She was. We just have to say that publicly. But no, anyways. I don't want to get Plutarch in any more trouble.
Oh, I'm going to hear about this all weekend.
I'm glad that I don't have to live with it. Anyways, have a good one. Catch you guys on the next one. Peace.
Later.